partnerships. We have one family that we just helped, and Veronica, would you like to come up? And she's going to give her story because we just helped them with furnishing their house. So you hear a little bit about that. So she's in our Teen Girls Mending the Soul group, and this is Veronica.
Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good time here. So my name is Veronica, I'm 15 years old and I go to the Mending the Soul group. In this group I learned from Miss Desiree and Miss Deborah as my mentors. I learned how to face my pain and in order to acknowledge the people in my life who were abusive and how to recognize these types of people in the future. Growing up, I always thought that abuse was just being abusive only meant someone who hits their child or significant other or friend every day. The image of someone with bruises and cuts on their face or body is what came to my head. I've learned that although unfortunately abuse may look like this sometimes, there's many other forms of abuse like verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical. Even abandonment can be a form of abuse. Sometimes doing nothing and not being there does a lot. I was born in San Diego, California, and lived in San Diego until I was about 8. My mother and father were both drug addicts, and whenever my father also went to jail for abusing women, he got deported back to Mexico before I turned 2 years old. I remember moving a lot from apartment to apartment, trailer to trailer. Although it was my mother that my sister, Emilia, and I live with, I would like to say that my Aunt Daniela and my grandmother took care of me the most. I remember my mother was struggling with drugs, so then we were taken into the care of my Aunt Daniela. And it wasn't even a while that we went to foster care because she had to meet the requirements of us to live with her. And I hated it because when I was in foster care, I was at a very young age and they kind of got upset with me because I, experienced some trauma and I kind of in my pants when I was little, but I was like, 5 years old. I was very little and they made me take pills for it. Then I believe I was under the care for less than a year when I was with Daniela. And then I had to move again because something about my mom being found overdosed in a hotel. That meant my sister and I had to move with my Aunt Maribel and her fiance Cleavon in San Francisco. And in less than a week, my grandmother, my sister, and myself had been living in a San Francisco apartment, 2-bedroom, and by this time I was 8 years old and my sister Emilia was 6. Then not even 3 months had passed and we had to move again. Except this time it wasn't even in California and we had to move all the way to New York because Cleavon had to complete his medical residency and wherever he went, we followed. I got to see my parental grandmother and cousins before I left. But had I known that would have been the last time I see them in 7 years, I would have cherished that moment much longer. Moving to New York was a struggle. My sister went into 1st grade and I went into 4th. We lived in Washington Heights and don't get me wrong, I love New York and I think it's a beautiful place and I think it's amazing that there's a store at, every corner. It was just the schools that was kind of an issue for me. I was, body shamed by everyone, even just in the 4th grade. And, since the part of New York that I was in was a very heavily Hispanic culture, I was told I wasn't Hispanic enough for people. I was 9 years old and already worried about my body image. I told Maribel and Cleavon, and what was I told? Oh, ignore them. Ignore them, and that's what I did. All through 4th and 7th grade, I tried to ignore them. Everyone who mentally abused me in school and, caused me to sometimes think suicidal thoughts. This didn't work. It never worked. I was bullied by the same 3 girls in 4th and 5th grade, and I thought it would stop when I got to middle school. The point was that I was bullied. I was bullied with words so harsh I could not repeat them. It didn't help to have unsupportive legal guardians. They thought that by buying me everything, I was supposed to be happy. My feelings only mattered when it was convenient to them. My sister and I are still in the process of being removed from their custody after making a CPS report and being temporarily placed under the care of my Aunt Daniela. Whenever they abused my sister the night before the CPS report, they tried to excuse it by saying, "This isn't anything, when I grew up, I was abused worse. You should be lucky that this is the only thing we've done." We have received so much support from Hope Connections, though, and since we basically got kicked out of the house, we moved into our new apartment, and as Deborah mentioned, she helped us get connected with Green Chair, and we received some pretty nice furniture and a bigger bed, because I used to sleep in a twin bed, and I almost rolled off of it. So, thank you, Green Chair, for supporting all that furniture for me. And I've, been going to the youth group, Mending the Soul, every Monday since the beginning of March. I'm learning to cope with my trauma from abuse. Miss Deborah and Miss Desiree let us know that we're not alone. I still need to find therapy, and sometimes I still struggle. But going to this youth group is a large step forward. And a large step forward to acknowledging the effects abuse has had on me and to help me break the cycle. To start young and know what abuse is and how to stop it, to receive help, to know that Hope Connections is there for me. I wanted to change and apply. I want to change. I want to be helped, and I want to apply everything I'm learning to survive this world and to help prevent my own future children from suffering abusive relationships. So thank you, Hope Connection, for giving me a chance to grow from the pain and supporting my grandmother, my sister, my Aunt Daniela, and myself through rough times. I feel validated and encouraged to be myself, and soon I will be able to become confident in myself and trust the right people like Desiree and Miss Deborah, and every new person here at Hope Connections that genuinely wants to help. So thank you all for being supportive.
Wow, if that didn't touch your heart.